What is going on, everyone? You are all very welcome back to the Gaelic Gridiron podcast, coming to you on the Monday of week 12 of the 2025 NFL season. We are 2/3 of the way through the regular season, if you can believe it. It is absolutely flying by, and we're almost into Christmas football, which I just can't wait for. Jimmy English, Connor Tate, and welcome back to Stephen Kearns. He's been missing for a few weeks. His presence has been noted. His absence has been noted as well. We're delighted to have him back. We have a full complement again. Lads, lots to get through from the weekend just gone, and obviously lots to build up to as well. A big few days of football with Thanksgiving, a triple header of Thanksgiving football this Thursday, and obviously as well the Black Friday game on Friday. So lots of NFL action incoming. We're going to kick things off. Connor, your dad has been giving out about the lack of Texans discussion on the podcast. So Thursday night football, they were taking on the Bills in Texas, and they came out on the right side of a 23-19 victory. Davis Mills, as a backup quarterback, is doing quite the job in relief of CJ Stroud. And it really has kind of shaken things up a little bit. The Texans now are 6-5, and the Bills are 7-4. I mean, that was not the result any of us were expecting, really.
Not at all. It was a brilliant performance from Houston, and defensively, yes, Davis Mills has steadied the ship, but it's the defense in Houston that everybody's talking about. And Will Anderson Jr. looks as on Myles Garrett level. I mean, he was quoted as working out in the offseason with Myles Garrett and Micah Parsons. It was just the three of them in a tight-knit unit, and they were going at it. And I would not want to be a part of that practice session. I mean, that sounds like a scary prospect. So Houston are back in town, and Davis Mills, since he's come in, has been unbeaten in Houston. He's 3-0. The Texans are right back in it. They're a half game back on Buffalo, who are my pick to go all the way to the AFC Championship, and they're only 2 games back now on the Colts, and they still have to play the Colts twice. So if the Texans can win out, they win the AFC South. It's actually in their hands.
Chris, this was really a victory that was contributed to primarily by the Texans defense. Watching the highlights back there on Friday morning, they absolutely bamboozled Josh Allen. They got after him. They harried him. They hassled him. And like they looked like a really complete unit, and like the Bills and now are in a bit of trouble, really, sitting at 7-4.
Yeah, that Texans defense, they done everything right. They just kept Josh Allen like moving and under pressure the entire game. Like that final Bills drive had everything go wrong for the Bills. Like they had some plays that they moved the ball up and down the field, but there was like flags against him. The Texans defense were putting so much pressure on Josh Allen. He didn't have time to go through his progressions. And with the absence of the running game against the Texans, like putting that all on his shoulders, the Texans defense just balled out and sorted them out. Now we have the resurgence of the Patriots, like hot on the heels of the Bills now. Like the Bills, everyone had, Bills are going to win the division. Bills are going to win the division. No problem. Go straight. As Connor said, the AFC Championship game, that was his pick. Stumbling a bit now. Bit of pressure on them now. And especially the way Patriots are playing, you really can't afford to drop any more games.
They're way back. They're three games back. This is New England's division now all the way. And
yeah.
What I think was amazing about Houston was, yes, they played a great game, complimentary game. But right at the end, they had the Bills in 4th and 27, and they gave it up on the hook and ladder play. And you're like, okay, well, the Bills they're gonna get over the line. Yet they didn't. Houston still stood strong and kept them out of the end zone, and that's a credit to the Texans' defense at the end, sticking together and their solidarity, and that shows me that they're now a real contender to be in the playoffs as a potentially a wild card. Potentially, they might win the AFC South now if they can really go on a roll and Indy slip up a game or two. They might be hosting the Saturday morning playoff game again this year.
The big question, though, is if Stroud comes back and he starts to slide, do you pull him again for Mills?
Who's that aimed at? Jimmy, you want to say that one?
Well, it's a similar situation to what's going on in Arizona, and obviously with Jacoby Brissett in a quarterback who's been playing extremely well in relief for the injured Kyler Murray. And I say injured in inverted commas because obviously he was injured, but now, I mean, he's been out now for 3 or 4 weeks. And what's that?
He's playing Black Ops online. That's why.
Exactly. Yeah. He's playing video games online. Jacoby Brissett has obviously, generated a better results for for the Cardinals than Kyler Murray had been doing all season. But I attribute Davis Mills' success to what I call the backup effect, and that is where a perennial backup player comes in and plays well in relief, but when they become the starter, things tend to fall to shit. So if it's me and I'm Texas, the Texans, I mean, you have a former first round draft pick in
Stroud.
In Stroud, thank you. I mean, why would you? A similar situation with Kyler Murray as well, but I think Davis Mills has been in a situation before with previous teams where he has come in relief. He has been the backup quarterback. He's been the starting quarterback, and he hasn't played as well as the starting quarterback as he has as the backup. So, if Connor, as you say, the Texans do go on a bit of a run in the AFC South and they're in the hunt for a playoff spot and they're looking like they could turn things around completely and be in with a shot at the playoffs. If it's me on the Texans, I'm putting CJ Stroud back in there and hoping that he returns to previous form. But it's a conundrum that lots of teams have faced.
Well, they need to go with the guy they think is going to win the game, and I know that sounds cliche and obvious, but they're big 2 weeks coming up: Indianapolis and Kansas City. So that's two defining weeks to the Texans season over this Thanksgiving period. They need to make sure they go through that. Ideally, they get the Indianapolis win, but also the Kansas City win for the wild card positioning. But they need to go at least 1-1 through that 2-game period to keep up. But they're flying at the moment. They're streaky.
And the AFC South is kind of, I mean, at the start of the season, it was just Colts. And then the Jaguars started getting them. Jaguars have been up and down all season. They got blown out in London back in September. They somehow pulled out a win against the Cardinals yesterday. Now you have the Texans with a winning record at 6-5. It's just been a bit mental to watch, really.
Yeah, it's been mental. And as you say, we've got the Houston-Indianapolis game coming up at the weekend, which is obviously crucial and brings Houston within a game of Indy if they can win it. And if Jacksonville can win next over Thanksgiving as well, they'll be tied now with the Colts if they were to drop that one. So a division that was a one-horse race has a lot more horses now.
Speaking of the Chiefs and Colts, there was the Chiefs found a way to win in overtime. I was keeping an eye on the score on Red Zone. Actually, I had to turn off Red Zone yesterday because it was ahead of Sky Sports. So it was about 30 seconds ahead of the Sky Sports coverage, which was not ideal if you're watching the Steelers and Bears. But the Chiefs found a way to win in overtime, Connor. And there was a playoff-like atmosphere, a lot of people were saying, in Arrowhead Stadium. And this, I mean, I think this was their first kind of come-from-behind win this year that the Chiefs have had. They had 11 last season. Right down to the wire in overtime, driving in the fourth quarter. Fair play to the Colts defense. They stood strong. They repelled them. I don't know how many times in the fourth quarter. The Chiefs were camped at the 2-yard line, the 3-yard line. Colts pushed them back. Ultimately, the Chiefs had to kick a field goal to force it to overtime. I mean, what did you make of that game?
It was classic Kansas City. You can never write them off. And Scott Hansen summed it up brilliantly. There was 2 minutes to go in the game, and he said it's going to be a defining two minutes in the season here for the Kansas City Chiefs, the team that have dominated the NFL over the past 5 seasons. If they lose here and drop this one, they're in big trouble. And we're all talking about how Kansas City might just be knocked off, whereas they win it, and you're like, okay, Kansas City are going nowhere. And surprise, they came out on top, right? And they were put away in the red zone over and over again and held by the Colts, but it just the Colts offense could not get anything going. They put together a great drive in Berlin 2 weeks prior before their bye in overtime to put that game to bed, but they couldn't get anything going in a very hostile Arrowhead environment. And sure enough, Patrick Mahomes comes up with the goods to get him into a chippy field goal range for the walk-off field goal on the win.
Yeah,
Tony Romo twist. So it goes to overtime. Colts win the toss, select to receive the ball, and Tony Romo made the point, and there was a lot of criticism online for his coverage and his arse licking of the Chiefs, which I'm not going to get into. That's his prerogative. But the Colts got the ball first and didn't do a lot with it, and that gave the Chiefs an opportunity. The Colts went 4 and out. Jonathan Taylor was stuffed in a 4th down attempt, and then the Chiefs get the ball back. I mean, was it the wrong decision to take the ball first? Were they better off there, do you think, giving Kansas City the possession, maybe trying to force them to kick a field goal and then going down and trying to kick to score the winning touchdown? I mean, you're kind of damned if you do and damned if you don't there, because you do want to take the ball. you want to have their first crack at scoring points, especially with Patrick Mahomes on the other side of the pitch.
Well, look at it this way: from the Colts side of the things, you pick the ball and you go for it. You go for the kill shot. You go to win. You just look at the history of teams who haven't taken the ball first or have lost a toss, and Kansas City have taken the ball first in overtime, and Pat Mahomes doing Pat Mahomes things, just walks down the field and ends the game. Like, ask Josh Allen how many times he's had his heart broken in that situation. He'll tell you he's not answering that question because it's been a lot. But like, this was a big, like two heavyweights punching each other as hard as they can. Defense really saves both teams in this. Like, you keep JT, like, potential MVP for the league to 58 yards. Then in the flip side, you could keep Pat Mahomes to no touchdowns. Like, that's like really hard to do the way he plays. And it just came down to the Colts not doing anything in overtime, as you said, going 4-and-out and giving the ball back to the Chiefs. At that point, all you got to do then is get the chippy field goal.
Mm-hmm.
The Colts had their shot; they didn't get anything. You don't have to worry about a touchdown there. Just get that chippy field goal and you win. You walk away. You put a dent in the most dominant team in the AFC and show that they are weak.
I think with the new rules now in overtime, there's obviously less reason to take the ball or to defer rather.
Yeah.
But you've got to decide which side of the ball you're stronger, whether it's your offense or whether it's your defense. And this is me. If I was a head coach, I would put my stronger side of the ball on first, because if you elect to defer, yeah, you're giving them the opportunity to go down and score. But if you can get them off now, you only need a field goal, right? But even if they score the touchdown, you're still alive now with the way it works. But you're going to have to go down and respond. It's a tough one, man. At the end of the day, whichever team wins, they made the right decision. That's just how it works out. Now, there's no obvious, defer because X, Y, and Z, or take the ball because of X, Y, and Z. I would put my stronger unit out on the field and try and make a play.
The Colts didn't really get Jonathan Taylor going. That was the secret to the success of the Chiefs. That they bottled Jonathan Taylor up and they forced Daniel Jones to throw the ball. He had a couple of nice completions. He had a couple of nice touchdowns. But, I mean, where do both sides go from here now, Connor? I mean, the Colts, as you say, they're being chased closely by the Texans. They're now sitting at 7-3 in the AFC South. They have watched that kind of that stranglehold in the division kind of diminish.
Yeah.
Jaguars are hot on their heels, 7-4. Texans are 6-5. Obviously, we could write the Titans off, though they did have a good game against the Seahawks yesterday. I mean, the Colts have to. I mean, they're 8-3 now. They have to win out really if they want to maintain that dominant position in the league. And I wouldn't even call them the best team in the AFC anymore. I think that title. Obviously, the Patriots again didn't have a great game against the Bengals yesterday, but the Patriots are 10-2. So while it still could well be Colts and Patriots in the AFC Championship game come January, I would very much have the Patriots at number 1 in the AFC now and the Colts at number 2. And there are other teams coming behind them as well.
Well, the priority for Indianapolis is to win their divisional games, and they've got 2 coming up against the Texans, and they've got another one coming up against Jacksonville as well before the season ends. So if they sweep those games, they're going to be absolutely fine. They're going to win the AFC South. The thing is, right, there's only one spot for the 1 seed, and the rest is all going into that wildcard weekend anyway. So unless you're the 1 seed, there's not that much difference between 2, 3, and 4 going forward. So their absolute main objective now is to make sure they don't get caught in that division. So they need to win those divisional games. And if they can win those 3 and get to 11 wins, neither of those teams is going to get anywhere near 11 if they're losing those games too. And they're going to have the tiebreakers against them. So that's what Indianapolis needs to do. On the field, they need to try and get Jonathan Taylor back into it. But look, he went off in Berlin, and that was the most recent tape we had on Indianapolis. They've just come off their bye. So there was no way Spags was going to let Jonathan Taylor run all over them at Arrowhead. That was just never going to happen. So they need to balance it out a little bit more and yes, get Jonathan Taylor back into it, or have some sort of system in place that if a team absolutely stifles him, they have an ability to go around it with their deep threats and Alec Pierce on the outside and get Daniel Jones comfortable. But that's diving into it, and I don't think we have long enough in the podcast to
Yeah, we're not going to do a Colts only podcast. We could go on and on. We're going to try and keep it nice and balanced, and we always welcome feedback, like we had from Connor's dad, on a particular team you want covered. Do send your feedback via whatever channel you feel like. Okay, we are going to move on from that topic now, and we are going to turn to our own teams, starting with the Steelers and Bears. in Soldier Field. Twist, look, when Mason Rudolph was named as the starting quarterback before the game, obviously Aaron Rodgers had the wrist injury last week against the Bengals. Mason Rudolph came in a backup role and did exactly that. He managed the offense. He got the ball to his skilled players, and he did all he could do to win the game against the Bengals, which he did. He was named starter yesterday, and we kind of knew that he would be limited in this performance. Look, he's not Aaron Rodgers, but he does bring the value of having familiarity with the Steelers offense. He does have a winning record as the Steelers starting quarterback. So, I mean, I wasn't overly confident that we could win, but I was hopeful. But I think overall, I mean, it wasn't the loss cannot be solely put on Mason Rudolph's head. I mean, it was an entire team loss, really, especially on defense, giving up 31 points to Caleb Williams and the Bears. I mean, what were you thinking watching that game?
I mean, you touch on it. Mason Rudolph does have a winning record. He's like 8-4-1 as a starter, or it's 8-4, I believe. I can't remember exact numbers, but he has a winning record as a starter. He has the familiarity. He does have talent. We've seen it when he's been put in situations. He's beaten AFC North teams when he's taken the reins. When Ben went down. When in the previous seasons. Going into this game, the Steelers are 19-8-1. Against the Bears. They'd lost 19. They'd only won 8. Like, the Bears ruled the series against the Steelers. So the Bears are now 20, 8-1. So Steelers not great with that record. We had some good plays. There's a strip sack which gave us points, which was really good to see. The defense actually doing something. The fake tush push.
Yes. Well, 50-yard almost touchdown run from Kenneth Gainwell, who really, as far as the Steelers' running game goes, I would now rank himself and Jaylen Warren as running back 1 and running back 1A, because he has that nice kind of change of pace, the extra little bit of speed. I mean, that was a great play call.
Yeah, but the problem with that is that's a play that only works once.
Yeah.
Now every team is going to be aware of that. They're going to plan for guys to be slightly deeper to contain that. There was a stupid call on drive up near the red zone where Rudolph scrambled down the center and was called back for illegal formation, and you could see Aaron Rodgers on the sideline. He knew it was illegal formation, but he's not allowed to say anything, and that's where the experience of a starter pays off dividends. Again, defense, you can't give up 30 plus points.
No.
You can give up 30 plus points against any of the powerhouses in the Patriots, Colts, the resurgent Ravens, the Chiefs. You're not going to win. Even with Aaron Rodgers, even with vintage Aaron Rodgers, you would struggle to win if your defense is hemorrhaging 30 plus points a game. That's the big problem. Yeah, it's nice TJ beat his brother on the all-time sack list. He passed him and all that. But
it doesn't mean much if you don't win the game. I mean, and we've seen Kyle Duggar had a splash play, a pick six against the Bengals last week. Jalen Ramsey has been playing at a really, really high level. But at the end of the day, these are aging safeties who are getting beaten by younger players. I mean, there was a touchdown. Caleb Williams had one of his touchdowns, and the tight end ran right by Kyle Duggar on a simple angle route. Now, it was okay. It's a hard route to cover, but you feel like a younger, more athletic safety is going to cover that route. So I think it comes back, and we've touched on it on this podcast kind of before, is that the Steelers' secondary is just not capable of containing younger, more athletic offenses.
I'll keep this one short and sweet. The Steelers' defense is not as good as it has been in previous years. And everyone in Steelers Nation and in the organization needs to accept that at this point and try and work around it. Instead of trying to rely on the defense to win games, they're going to have to play seriously good offensive football, and they're going to have to outscore their opponents as opposed to these slugfests that we've seen in the past.
Yep, 100% agree.
And that was, I mean, and they did have the opportunity yesterday to in the fourth quarter, they were driving down the field to tie that game up, to force overtime, but to potentially win it. I mean, several changes of possession in the fourth quarter. The defense did hold the Bears. They did give Mason Rudolph several attempts to get the Steelers into field goal position and rely and give Boswell the opportunity to kick the field goal. And there was one very, very questionable play, Connor, that we discussed before we came on that you're going to explain. And that is Mason Rudolph throwing that pass. I think it was 4th and 2, going for the sideline. Now, they were just outside of Boswell's career-long field goal range, which is 60 yards. But in that instance, my gut as a Steelers fan, and he's somebody who has watched Boswell be almost flawless throughout his entire career. Now, I know it's Soldier Field, it's windy, the wind is swirling. Why not give Boswell the opportunity and take the chance on that long field goal rather than trying to force him to pass and trying to get some extra yards? Ultimately, the pass was batted down by Brisker. Game over, Bears win.
Well, the decision is terrible because the ball went into the ground, right? But here's the reality of what the alternative option was to trot Boswell on. First of all, it wouldn't be to trot Boswell on, he'd have to rush on because Pittsburgh didn't have any timeouts. That snap was taken with 21 seconds left on the clock. So you're talking military drill field goal operation here. Secondly, if you don't stop the clock, i.e. there's not an incompletion or a timeout before field goal, the same ball stays on the field. Now, a kicker ball is prepped a lot differently and flies a lot better than a quarterback ball, which is prepped for throwing as opposed to kicking. Thirdly, we're in Soldier Field. Boswell, what you say his range is about 60. It was actually a 64-yard field goal attempt from where they were at the time. Now, not only is that really long for Boswell, it's very long for Soldier Field. Do you know how many 60-plus yard field goals there have been in Soldier Field?
I have a feeling you're going to tell us.
Ever. Do you know how many? Ever? Do you want to have a guess? 0. Not once has a kicker ever made a 60-plus yard field goal at Soldier Field. Will Riker this year with the record at 59 yards. So you're talking about ostensibly trotting a guy out, rushing him out for something that has never, ever happened in history, as opposed to a 4th and 6, you spike the ball and suddenly it's inside 60 yards. That was the right decision. They just didn't execute it. So if any media that goes at Tomlin, come on, like do your research.
Yeah. I will say the last point I'll make on this is now the Steelers are second in the division.
Yes.
The Ravens have taken the top spot.
That's mad.
Yeah, and they're now resurgent. And they've taken the top spot purely on points for and points against.
Yeah, they have one more point. I'm looking at the AFC North standings here on my second screen. The Ravens are 6-5. They have the same percentage of wins as the Steelers. We're both 0.45. Ravens have 275 points for. Steelers have 274 points for it. But like, there's still two massive AFC North games to come when the Steelers face off against the Ravens, which makes these games, and considering how the Ravens season was almost over with Lamar Jackson, out, like it's mad how they've come back and are now leading the AFC North.
Yeah, and
they're not only leading, it's before Thanksgiving.
Yeah,
it's not even like it came at the end of the season where they just pipped them at the end of the line. It's not even Thanksgiving and they're back on top. Like, that is mad.
Back on top, and they have Lamar back, and it's not going to be Steelers against Ravens with like random backup number 12. It's Steelers versus MVP.
Rush, I believe, is number 12 for the Ravens.
That's a joke.
We're going to have to go back and erase a lot of old footage of us like writing off the Ravens, like, and me included, right? I was like, the Ravens aren't even in the question anymore, so we're going to have to go back and wipe that.
Look, that's the joy. That's the joy of it. All we can give is our best shot and our better opinion. Speaking of going back and erasing footage of us writing off teams, we better not write off the Packers just yet, because Connor, unfortunately, they dismantled your Vikings yesterday. Another awful performance from JJ McCarthy. I watched the short highlights back. He was just okay. He had a couple of nice passes, some nice completions. He did hit Justin Jefferson over the middle. But overall, I mean, two killer second half interceptions. One that came on off a Rashawn Gary pressure. I believe Rashawn Gary did get a bit of JJ McCarthy's arm before he let go of that ball.
He took the whole ball.
And then 7, I lost count of how many sacks that the Packers had on JJ. Some of them were his fault, some of them weren't. I mean, it really cannot get much worse for the Vikings at this stage.
I'll tell you how much worse it can get, and this is the only number that you need to worry about of sacks or completion, whatever. Since the year 2000, there have been 852 qualifying quarterbacks in the NFL to be graded. Right, they've played enough snaps to qualify to be graded. JJ McCarthy is 851st out of 852. Jamarcus Russell sits below him. That's it. So that's how much worse it can get, right? And I've been the biggest defender of JJ
Jamarcus
McCarthy.
Russell, my God.
And young quarterbacks and letting them develop. But the fact of the matter is, it has been terrible. It has been terrible, and there's been a lot more negative than positive. I still think Minnesota need to ride this out this season, but they can forget. Mathematically, they can forget it, and even if they were in it mathematically still, it's just not looking like a team that's going to turn it around in any sense. So they need to ride the wave and then decide what they see in the next 6 weeks after Thanksgiving, and then decide in the offseason what direction they want to go. Because there's giving somebody time, and then there's losing time for other players. Justin Jefferson's on the sideline, frustrated because the ball is flying nowhere near him. It's soaring over his head. So there's some big decisions need to be made, and JJ McCarthy, if he wants to remain the starter of the Minnesota Vikings, needs to play at a higher level, because it hasn't been good enough so far. Even for a rookie standard, it's not been good enough, straight up.
Chris, Packers moved to 7-3 with the win. They're just one game behind the Bears now. Obviously, the line's sitting at 7-4. So the power dynamic is shifting week on week. But the Packers, they got back on track after a couple or three or four, intermediate games, and got the job done through the air and on the ground as well yesterday against the Vikings.
Yeah, I mean, it's better to have a stumble or a slide at this point of the season, so you have time to recover from it. And as you're ramping up towards the end of the season, post Thanksgiving, seeing where you're seeding, playoffs, stuff like that. So yeah, the Packers went in. They showed that they're still around. Yeah, they punched Minnesota in the mouth, but again, with JJ McCarthy struggling the way he is, you should go in and you should be punching him in the mouth, and you should be walking out with your heads out as the winner. So you're hoping as a Packers fan that Jordan Love's going to keep this up, build this momentum on, and continue on, and challenge the Bears. So I never thought I'd be saying it this year. Challenge the Bears for the division, and make sure that they come out on top in that situation. I did say it a couple of weeks ago. I believe I'm assuming a lot of Vikings fans are looking at Sam Darnold and still having a bit of seller's remorse. When you look at how JJ is playing. But, that's, a what if situation. If they kept Sam Darnold, would he be playing as good as he is?
I think the performance against the Rams a couple of weeks ago was pretty telling. And there's some hoodoo there between Sam Darnold and the Rams. I don't know what it is, but he can't get over that hump. But at the end of the day, if you were keeping Sam Darnold as a Vikings fan, it's to go and win a Super Bowl. The Rams are a Super Bowl contender, and Darnold I know they were very close to winning in the end, but he did not look good in that game. So I think that kind of set the hype down on Sam Darnold a bit, and it's like, okay, well, that hasn't gone away. That's still a thing, and Sam Darnold is going to really struggle in these high profile games, especially when there's a lot of defensive pressure from the line. So yeah, I don't know how much seller's remorse there is there, but it's not like the option of JJ McCarthy has worked out particularly well so far. So there's definitely some.
But I will throw one random fact of JJ McCarthy that I've seen. Somebody on Reddit worked out that if a quarterback played on Sunday and spiked the ball 20 times into the ground, they would have a QBR of 39.6, and JJ finished with a QBR of 34.2.
Oh my god.
That's pretty damning.
Yeah. So you got Jamarcus Russell, and then you got 20 incompletions.
And then you got Mr. Spike.
Yeah.
Connor, I know you're looking for a job currently in Europe as a starting quarterback. I think the Vikings should sign you. I mean, you at this stage, you probably do a better job than JJ McCarthy would. At least you could find your open receivers.
No, just dearie me. What do I say to that? I'm not on this podcast looking for a quarterback position in the NFL, nor am I looking to knock anybody's performance to boost my own. And that's why it's so difficult as a quarterback that I guess my opinion is qualified a bit more because I've played a little bit of quarterback, but at the same time, the NFL is a whole different beast. And that there's so few quarterbacks that are successful in the transition from college to the NFL. So yes, I'm qualified to talk about quarterback to an extent, but quarterbacking at the highest level in the NFL, that's a whole different beast. So,
but especially when JJ was thrown into the deep end this year. I think. I mean, this is effectively his rookie season after obviously injuring his knee, drastically injuring his knee last season. So it's a bit of a baptism by fire for JJ this year. I don't know. I mean, what do the Vikings do? Do they go to the draft? Do they try and bring in a veteran and let JJ sit again? I mean, Connor, you're a fan, you're a quarterback. I mean, is there a solution here where JJ McCarthy is the starting quarterback for the Vikings in the future?
The solution is, as a Minnesota Vikings fan, you just hope that his play improves dramatically in a short period of time. It's a really, really difficult situation, but I don't think there's many people in the NFL with more pressure on their soldiers soldier field on their shoulders than JJ McCarthy. So I have a lot of sympathy for him. His situation has been he's blessed to be the 10th pick in the NFL draft, right? And be the starter of the Minnesota Vikings. But the way it's come about has been very difficult for him with the injury, and he's been thrown into a team with all the weapons, and they're expected to win now. So it's been a baptism of fire for him. There's a lot of pressure on his shoulders, and I genuinely hope the best for him. And I hope he becomes a brilliant starter for the Vikings and brings them to their first Super Bowl. But at the moment, it's looking a long way from that.
All right, we are going to move on now and talk about some of the other notable performances, some of the more positive things happening around the NFL from Week 12. Big plays around the league, some really, really standout plays as well, and standout performances. One player who I feel we've only really kind of scratched the surface with on this podcast is Seattle Seahawks receiver Jaxon Smith Njigba. I mean, it would be completely remiss of us if we did not mention his performance yesterday. 167 receiving yards and 2 touchdowns, including the ridiculous grab where he shook off the defender and backpedaled into the end zone. I will try to find the highlight and play it over this, but it is on our social media now. It's a contender for play of the week, in my opinion, which we're going to do a segment on later because I want to know you lads, your plays of the week as well. So Jaxon Smith Njigba has already set the Seahawks franchise receiving record, surpassing one DK Metcalf with 1,313 yards. It does lead the league, and he's on pace for 2,000 yards. Currently, they projected him last night to hit 2,029 yards, which would be an NFL record for receiving yards in a single season. He is the best receiver in the NFL. He, in my opinion, is pushing Jonathan Taylor for the offensive MVP this season, the best offensive player in the league. And he's just... I mean, Sam Darnold is just loving life in Seattle right now because all he has to do is let JSN run deep and lob the ball up, and 9 times out of 10 he's going to catch it. I mean, Connor, what an incredible performance from JSN yesterday.
Justin Jefferson must be looking at JSN and going, "Damn, that could have been me this That could have been me this year." And that's what worries me as a Vikings fan. That you see that and you go, Justin might want out. But getting on to Smith and Jigba, he's been superb. And I mean, another guy who's got his record wrapped up before Thanksgiving. And I mean, that's ridiculous that we're even talking about this sort of record being broken before then. He's on pace to go over 2,000 yards this season if he can keep it up. I think he may well. Mm-hmm. It's just such a good system they have in Seattle, and the chunk yardage that Smith and Jigba's picking up, and with how athletic he is and his yards after catch as well. It's a beautiful connection they have, and credit to him, man. And good for Seattle. They needed a real guy to take on the brunt of the work, especially with the departure of DK Metcalf, and they got their guy.
Yeah, I mean, look how lucky Sam Darnold is. He goes from throwing the ball to Jets to throwing the ball to JSN, and he's like, it's like nothing's changed for him as a quarterback. He's like, I got someone down there who can catch that ball, and he's got his play action going. He's got his run track going, and that's why JSN is open, ridiculously open, because no defenders can seem to stop him. And when you have such a threat on the ground, and you have Sam Darnold who is really good at play action, you kind of, it's almost unfair. And that's only one wideout. Like, if Sam Darnold start passing other people, Seattle,
Cooper Kupp is over there too.
Yeah,
we're not talking about Cooper Kupp.
Former Triple Crown winner Cooper Kupp. Yeah. I mean, that's just how good JSN is. That we
don't forget Kupp is on the Seahawks.
We've forgotten about all the other receivers and basically the other offensive players that the Seahawks have, because it's just a JSN show in the Pacific Northwest.
It's going to be a throwback that Connor is either going to like or not like. It's like Randy Moss back in the day of the Vikings. Why you bother throwing to anyone else when you got Randy Moss on the right hand side? Just throw to JSN all the time. If he's the one time he's not available or he needs to take a rep out, then give it to Kupp.
I mean, all the early season talk about Jonathan Taylor winning the offensive MVP. I mean, should JSN, if he keeps his production up and does hit 2,000 yards with the way he's playing, he's in the conversation for offensive MVP, right?
If he breaks that record as season receiving yards, he's absolutely MVP. I think Saquon Barkley would have got the league MVP last year if he had went out and broke like the rushing record,
Yes.
rather than sitting out. Well, his choice or Sirianni's choice, whatever. But he would have got the MVP in my opinion if he hadn't went and broke the record. If somebody breaks an all-time NFL record, you kind of automatically have to give them the award.
There's definitely an argument.
Talking offensive MVP here, obviously the overall league MVP, I think at this stage is going to be Matt Stafford. That's the way the media is certainly leaning, and we know that the media kind of has their say on these awards. Speaking of Matt Stafford, like I think after that performance against the Buccaneers last night, it's all, you could even see the way he's performing. I mean, the Rams absolutely trounced the Bucs 34-7 in SoFi Stadium. Matt Stafford had touchdown passes on all three opening Rams drives. I mean, he was hitting Devontae Adams for fun, at one stage. I mean, just lobbing it up and letting Devontae come down. And it really, really was great to watch. And it's fantastic to see Stafford's kind of getting his resurgence there in Los Angeles. I mean, even Devontae came out after the game and said, give the man the MVP award. Obviously, the head coach, Sean McVay, kind of put the brakes on a little bit there and said, look, it's still a long way to go. He's still got a lot of years left in him. But I think after the way the Rams played yesterday, and you have to feel bad for Baker Mayfield and the Bucs after their hot start. They're now going to get, they're being, I think they're either have been overtaken or are going to get overtaken by the Panthers in the NFC South. But I mean, Rams, Connor, are 10-2 now. They are the best team in the NFL. I mean, Matt Stafford hasn't had an interception since week 3, 30 touchdown passes, which leads the league. He's just playing at an incredibly high level, and I think this is the year the Rams get back to the Super Bowl and win it in convincing fashion with Matt Stafford.
Gaudy numbers. Matt Stafford has gaudy numbers at the moment, and it's Hollywood. It's like a movie right now. Everything is going perfect for LA. This feels like their year 2021 where they went all in and they got all the way. Felt like their year, and then the move to get Devontae Adams. You're like, you lose Cooper Kupp, but you bring Devontae Adams in. That's a pretty good replacement. And I think, Stafford's playing the best ball of his career. Just keep him healthy. How healthy is the back? Looks pretty good at the moment, but one hit and that can all change. So keep Matt Stafford upright, and they are odds on to go all the way to the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Speaking of other impressive quarterback performances yesterday, there's two that I really want to touch on. First and foremost, Jameis Winston in a quarterback for the New York Giants.
Quarterback or receiver?
Both. The man can do it all. And also a contender for our play of the week is Jameis Winston. There's two plays really. First of all, there's the lateral back from his running back where he evades the pass rush and absolutely drops a bomb to Wan'Dale Robinson down the field. And then the other highlight reel, more impressively, is the touchdown pass that he caught from Gunnar Olszewski, former college quarterback, I believe. Catches a touchdown pass, shakes off the defender, spins into the end zone, and then does the dance. I mean, he was just, and that's what I love about Jameis Winston. He's obviously, the Giants' season is over. Okay, they were playing with absolutely nothing to lose yesterday. But for the grace of Jahmyr Gibbs, they almost bet the lines, given Dan Campbell fits on the sideline, because the rest of the lines were absolutely awful. But Jameis Winston, he's playing loose, he's playing free, he's playing for fun, and you have to love to see a twist.
Absolutely. Like if he's I don't remember if he's a free agent or not at the end of this year, but I want Steelers to sign him. Trot Aaron Rodgers off to the stables, those glue factory, or whichever analogy you want to use. Bring Jameis Winston in. I'd happily do a season of watching him and his crazy speeches and his crazy emotions and his dances and all the weird stuff he says in post-game interviews and stuff. Just pure entertainment.
Yeah.
And sometimes people forget that's what watching this sports is. It's forget all the betting and the stress and the stuff like that. It's fun. You're supposed to go there and have fun. You're supposed to enjoy watching the game. Mm-hmm. And you can't not enjoy Jameis Winston when he's on the field.
Connor, just really, really enjoyable performance to watch from Jameis Winston. Highlight worthy. The lines, though, we're not going to get into it too much, but Jahmyr Gibbs absolutely gashed the Giants defense, resulting in the Giants defensive coordinator being fired earlier this afternoon. But if it wasn't for Jahmyr Gibbs and his chunk plays and effectively putting the team on his back and running riot all over the Giants defense, it could have been the upset of the year potentially with the Giants knocking off the Lions.
That was a huge win for Detroit. You can't understate how big that win was for Detroit. Yet you kind of have to remind yourself that Jameis Winston lost yesterday in all the hype, right? It's just, it's weird. But my question is, what would the New York Giants record be if Jameis Winston was the day one starter at the start of the season? I think they'd be a 500 football team. He just brings so much X factor to the game. And sure, we didn't get the 3 interceptions yesterday that often come with him too. But even in those 3 interception games, they're there or thereabouts. Because he just is fearless, and as you say, Twist, the entertainment factor is something that you can't forget about with this sport in this league, and he brings it every single week. So it's a pleasure. He started as quarterback 3 this year, but it's a pleasure to have Jameis Winston and be able to watch him play on Sundays again. It's great for us fans.
That's a good point, Twist, because like sometimes we do forget that football is meant to be played for fun and watched for fun, and it is an entertainment sport. At the end of the day, we get caught up in the seriousness of it, like obviously the stats and the podcast and all the talk and all that kind of thing. But at the end of the day, we as fans want to get entertained, want to be entertained, and like there's nothing better than seeing clips of these kind of plays, and you kind of remind yourself this is what it's all about. It's all about the big splashy plays and the essence of having fun watching the sport, right?
Yeah, Jameis Winston brings sports entertainment from WWE to the NFL. That's the best way to describe it. He's a bigger-than-life character that you could see in the ring wrestling, like someone like Finn Balor or something like that these days. He has that charisma, he has that energy, and he loves what he does. And sometimes you do have to disconnect from the seriousness of football and just enjoy it.
Yeah. One more notable quarterback performance yesterday to mention before we get on to previewing Week 13, and that is Shedeur Sanders making his debut as the starting signal caller of the Cleveland Browns.
The Browns, the very first quarterback who started since 1996 to win their debut. It only took since the franchise came back.
That is a mental stat. I mean, he actually had a really good game for a starting game. I mean, he had a 50-yard on the run, absolute dime down the field to Isaiah Bond, which, by the way, is the Browns' longest play from scrimmage this season. He showed chemistry with his receivers. I mean, as far as Browns' quarterback performances go this year, it probably was the most electric we've seen. It's certainly a lot better than Dylan Gabriel, Connor. So is it kind of hard to fathom that the Browns stick with Shedeur Sanders now for the rest of the season? They have nothing to lose. This could be a potential I don't want to say franchise quarterback, but he's a lot better than what they have in their roster right now.
Yeah, the word I wouldn't use electric as the performance. I would use poised, but I would prefer poised as a quarterback than electric. He showed a lot of good things, and that was off a week's preparation, right? JJ McCarthy has had a whole offseason to prepare, right? So you want to say, oh, it's early stages for JJ McCarthy. Well, it's very early stages for Shedeur Sanders. And I thought the scheduling gods were in his favor for his opening start to be the Raiders. It's a nice introduction to the NFL.
Raiders fired Chip Kelly already this morning because they were absolutely dog shit to watch on offense and on defense.
Very, very impressed with Shedeur, and I don't care where your stance is, whether you like him or not, or whether you like the antics that go on off the field and in the press conferences. What did we watch as a quarterbacking product yesterday? You watched a guy that was in control, that controlled that game from the scoreboard wise, turnover wise. Only the one bad decision on the hook curl where he didn't see the backer come off the line and drop back into that. He thought he was going to buzz out to the flat. But from a quarterbacking perspective, excellent. That big splash play at the start, which got everybody juiced. Great technique. The way he picked up that blitz, drifted out of the pocket, and then threw it 40 plus on the run. That's brilliant. The way he got to his checkdowns, he went through his progressions. That was an excellent start for Shedeur Sanders. He just needs to keep it up, because the most important thing with quarterback, especially in the NFL, is consistency. So we need to see it week in, week out from Shedeur, and I hope will have the opportunity to go for that, because I hope the Browns keep him as a starter now for the rest of the season. He's earned that.
I will say one point to not forget about the Browns. Myles Garrett is now 4.5 sacks away from tying the all-time sack record. 5 sacks and he gets the all-time sack record.
He might have that done by next week.
He probably would. Like the Raiders, they were 10 sacks.
17 for the season, isn't he? I think
18.
18.
No.
Yeah. And the record is 22.5, held by TJ and
TJ
Strahan.
But and he's doing, and Garrett is phenomenal. But the interior rush from that Cleveland Browns defensive line is attributing to that a lot. So
Like I
they've
said,
done an outstanding job. That is a fierce line. It
like I
is.
said,
They're fierce.
take the Browns defense and put it with the Bengals offense, and you might have a good team, Ohio.
Looking ahead now, so week 13 is coming in this Thursday. Thanksgiving in the USA. 3 games on the slate. Lions, Packers at 6 o'clock Irish time. Cowboys, Chiefs at 9:30. And Ravens, Bengals rounding things off Friday morning at 1:20. I love this time of year because it's when football starts to get really, really good. We're right on the edge of Christmas. Which we're not allowed to talk about until December 1st, by the way. I swear to God, Christmas trees in the shops already. Lions, Packers, Connor. This is such an important game for both teams, right? Lions just about beating the Giants in Ford Field. Jared Goff has to play a lot better. Cannot rely on Jahmyr Gibbs. Jordan Love and the Packers, they have improved. Twist, they're still in the hunt in the NFC. Twist is still high on the Packers for the Super Bowl. This is going to be an absolute classic NFC North matchup.
First off, Thanksgiving is just a brilliant day. And what a concept to throw a load of football into Thanksgiving, right? Whether you're thankful or not thankful, whether you celebrate it or not, this is just a brilliant day. And the football can be garbage, but it's just a brilliant occasion to sit down in front of the television and watch football. As it turns out, the slate is probably the best we've had in I don't know how many years. Like, all of these games are huge and consequential towards the playoffs. Lions, Packers, man, what a huge game this is. And made even bigger by Detroit squeaking out the win against the Giants this week. I mean, just a brilliant tradition that we always watch this 12 o'clock game in Detroit. And now there's just so much riding on it this year. It's going to be a great game. And expect Detroit to be better, a lot better than they were on Sunday. You might even say that Detroit maybe had looked past the Giants a little bit in preparation for this Green Bay game on a short week. That is potentially there. I think this is going to be a rip-roaring game. It's going to be one score. It's going to go down to a field goal.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be, out of the 3 games that are on, it's definitely the one I would pick to not miss. Packers, I'm still high on. Yes, this is going to have consequences for the division, obviously, because it's the 2 powerhouses. The only problem, if you're a Packers fan and you're like, yeah, we're going to the Super Bowl, just look at your record. You're 7-3-1. That one is going to hang over you when it comes down to the final. If you end up tying or getting close to tying between you and the Lions for the division, that one tie that you had at the start of the season, it's going to knock you down a couple of seeds. So you really need to step up and win out against your remaining division games and literally just put the boot down and go for it. But yeah, don't miss the Lions and Packers. Like 6 o'clock Thursday afternoon, dinner time. Let's go.
Perfect. And you talk about the tie, the team on the other end of that tie, Dallas, they're in action too. They're in action, 9:25 kickoff. And what a huge game for both teams, both in the wildcard hunt in different conferences, Kansas City and Dallas. I mean, they've knocked it out of the park this year with the scheduling, the way it's worked out. And
both teams in the Cowboys Chiefs game as well, coming off really close wins last weekend. I mean, the Chiefs getting the crucial overtime win against the Colts, and then the Cowboys an absolute wild comeback over the Eagles. I mean, I watched the first little bit of that Eagles game. Eagles were all over the Cowboys, and Dak and co were doing absolutely nothing. And then there was the punt return fumble from the Eagles that was recovered by the Cowboys. There was Dak rushing in for the touchdown. It was just a bananas, At one point, there was just a shot of Jerry Jones doing his Jerry Jones face up in his box, and there was memes going around in Eagles fan pages. And then the Cowboys came back and won it. So that's a massive game as well, I think. But I do agree that the Lions Packers is certainly the best of the bunch. Black Friday football as well. Don't forget Amazon Prime around the world. If you have Amazon Prime, you can watch this game in Ireland. Eagles and Bears twist. I mean, 2 teams, obviously the Eagles lost by a field goal 24-21 to the Cowboys on Sunday night. The Bears getting the win over Pittsburgh as well. I mean, this game could go either way, really, to be honest with you.
I think the Bears have the edge in this one. They looked impressive against the Steelers. Caleb Williams has been looking impressive the past couple of weeks. The Eagles had a 21-0 lead, and they just
took the foot off the gas.
Went to sleep and let Dak and co come back and finish them off. if that's the, I'm not saying it's the mentality, but if like you get up and you start taking the foot off the gas, we've talked about before, you got to put your opponent away. You play to win until the final whistle. And I think the Bears have that mentality over the Eagles right now. And, putting up 31 points on a defense that's supposed to be a good defense,
the highest paid defense,
the highest paid defense, but supposed to be good based on that figure. The Eagles' defense is good, but I don't think they're going to stop Caleb Williams and co. There's just too many options to cover for that defense. So it could be a bit of a slugfest if Jalen Hurts actually throws the ball and doesn't push 17 times during the game. But yeah, I think the Bears have the edge in this one.
I'm just happy we're finally getting a good deal on Black Friday. It's supposed to be the day of good deals, and we constantly get ripped off.
Yeah.
Right. But this year, it's actually it's a great deal. It's a brilliant game. I don't know if they saw that coming into the season. 2 teams with 8 wins at this point. But yeah, it's huge for NFC supremacy. Obviously, the Rams are 1 game ahead, but the Bears and the Eagles are thereabouts. So it's going to be a cracker whichever way it goes. And tune into football on Friday because it's going to be worth it.
Well, certainly lots of games to look forward to. The triple header on Thanksgiving, Black Friday football, and then straight into Sunday football with so many other good games that we haven't even talked about. But look, we're not going to get into those. We will get into them. Will we? Steelers Bills. Steelers Bills 9:25 twist. That's a huge game for both teams there because both teams badly needing a win to keep the playoff hopes alive as well. Commanders Broncos Sunday night football. Just looking here, Jets, Falcons,
Texans, Colts.
Texans, Colts. It doesn't slow down, does it? We're 2/3 of the way through the season, and it just gets better and better. But
don't write Atlanta off either. Big win at the weekend over New Orleans. Kirk Cousins at the helm now. He knows it's his ship for the rest of the year, and not a particularly difficult schedule. They got Seattle and the Rams, but everything else very winnable in a stuttering NFC South. Atlanta might squeak their way back into divisional contention there as well.
Right, before we finish up, favorite plays of the week. I'm going to start.
Go for it.
That Jameis Winston touchdown reception.
Has to be.
That's my favorite play of the week. Gunnar throws it to him. We used to have Gunnar in the Steelers. The plan was bring Gunnar in the Steelers to throw balls on these type of situations. Never done it. And he goes out and shows. He throws it to Jameis Winston. He mosses the defender. He jukes the defender. He stiff arms him. He backs into the end zone. And then he dances and he's smiling the entire way. Like, he had fun on that touchdown. That's my play of the week.
I think it has to be my favorite play of the week as well, just because I really love Jameis Winston. I love the fact that he's getting his shot now. Giants season might be over, but Jameis is showing the league that he still has something left. He's playing loose. He's playing free. Even on the other big play he had where he sidestepped the defender and threw an absolute bomb to Wan'Dale Robinson, he's showing that he still has the juice, his athleticism. But I don't think anyone saw that touchdown reception coming from the wide receiver pass from Mashevsky. So it was just, like we said earlier, it was just what football is all about: pure entertainment, pure sports magic. So Jameis Winston touchdown reception is my play of the week as well.
Well, I'll shake it up then. I will go on the defensive side of the ball, and I will go with Nashawn Wright's interception of Mason Rudolph on the sideline. That would have been a really good play if he had managed to break it up, but he managed to corral it one-handed and get his feet in right on the sideline. Technique-wise, that is nuts. That's off the scale. Nashawn Wright, big lengthy corner, and has really come into his own this season. Is playing an excellent ball and just seems to be getting an interception a week at the moment. So I will go with Nashawn Wright, his interception of Mason Rudolph in the Bears win at the weekend.
There you go. Plenty to choose from. Right, we are going to leave it there because we are almost at the hour mark. Thank you to our sponsors, Print My Pint. I forgot to mention them at the top of the show, so apologies for that. Make sure you check them out. With Christmas parties coming up, I know they are giving away a free Print My Pint machine for your event on their social media. So check that out. Enter the competition. Check them out for your next wedding, birthday, Christmas party, wherever you're doing. printmypint.ie. Make sure to follow us on social media, like and subscribe to the podcast. Twist, great to have you back. Connor, great to see you as always. Lads, great to have the full house here for the podcast. It does make a difference. Thank you to everyone who watches, listens, supports, for all your support throughout the year. We will be back to recap week 13 and hopefully we won't be too stuffed from Thanksgiving dinner. So lads, I'll see you all later.